I want to share with you a solution to bullying that comes from the scriptures and try to outline this for you in very brief format so you can develop this for your kids who likely will experience bullying in their lives. If it's not when they're young, it's when they're older, that we all get bullied in one way or another, and we need to have a plan. We're going to step in and do anything we can, but children also need to face this challenge. So I suggest to children there are 3 solutions and a secret weapon. Let me run through them for you. Solution number 1 is to ignore. Sometimes we ignore an offense and then the person stops bothering us. So that's one option that a child has. I'm not saying it's the only one, but it is one, and they need to learn how to ignore without becoming bitter inside. This is one of the solutions that's available. The second solution is to confront. And so confronting is also a valuable solution. We hear about it in Matthew 18, where you go and you talk to the person and you confront them. And we need to give our children words. So if a brother's bullying another brother, we can say, you want to use these words. I don't like that, or stop doing that. So we give them the words to say so that they can confront. But you have to be able to confront without also bullying. So very important to be able to learn that skill of confrontation. The third solution then is to get help. And children need to know that they can come to us or teachers or other authorities to get help in their lives. And that getting help is also part of the Matthew 18 section there. The children need to learn how to do that, but they need to learn how to do it without tattling. And that whole issue is a very important one. So all of these are life skills that children can develop that can help them deal with the injustices that they experience. Now comes a secret weapon that I want you to see. And it comes from 1 Peter chapter 2, starting in verse 18. In a passage talking about slaves, it says, "Slaves, in reverent fear of God, submit yourselves to your masters, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also to those who are harsh." Now it's going to move from slaves to anyone. So it says, "For it is commendable if someone," that is anyone, "bears up under the unjust pain, suffering, because they are conscious of God." Now, those words, conscious of God, literally mean your conscience is facing toward God. So it's it's a phrase that uses the word conscience, and it's talking about you're doing the right thing. You do the right thing is important. And it continues to go on by saying, "But how is it your credit if you receive a beating for doing wrong and endure it? But if you suffer for doing good and endure it, this is commendable before God." So there's commendation points you get before God, and you need to realize you have this relationship with God that can take you through any challenging and difficult situation. Then it says in verse 21, "To this you were called." It's going to happen in our lives, and we need to be able to have our consciences facing toward God and recognizing that God has this relationship with us where he commends us even if we're suffering. Because Christ suffered for you, leaving you an example that you should follow in his steps. He committed no sin, and no deceit was found in his mouth. So Christ is this example. It says when they hurled their insults at him, he didn't retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, here's the secret weapon. He entrusted himself to him who judges justly. We turn it over to the Lord. And there are going to be times when all those 3 other options do not work in a child's life. And we need to teach them the value of their spiritual lives. And all of us need to learn this because we'll be bullied, whether it's in traffic or by a boss or by someone else in life. And we need to know that we can take action, and we need to do that taking action when we can. But there are times when you do all the things you can and you're still mistreated, and you need to know how to have a close relationship with the Lord, do the right thing, entrust that to the Lord, and allow God to take care of the justice, because our hearts are not big enough to carry around the personal injustices of our lives. We're called to take a stand for justice. That's very important. But it's the personal justices that accumulate inside of us that turn us into an ugly person. We have to be able to turn them over to God, whose heart is so big, and his scales are very important, and he will deal with the justices of the world. So Jesus did that. We can do that. That's what Peter's saying, and that's the secret weapon for dealing with bullying in any of our lives.